Ever wonder how a modern Western-allied monarchy transformed into a staunchly religious Islamic republic in just a matter of years? The story of Iran's transformation is one of the most dramatic political shifts of the 20th century. To understand it, we need to go back to the mid-1900s, when Iran was ruled by Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. The Shah had big ambitions for his country. Backed by the United States and Britain, he launched what he called the White Revolution in the 1960s. This was a series of sweeping reforms aimed at modernizing Iran. He introduced land reform, expanded infrastructure, and championed women's rights, including the right to vote. On the surface, Iran was becoming a modern, secular nation. Tehran's elite enjoyed Western fashion, music, and lifestyles. The economy was booming, thanks to a surge in oil prices. But beneath this glossy surface, deep-seated tensions were brewing. The Shah's modernization program was top-down and often brutal. His secret police, known as Savak, were infamous for suppressing any form of dissent. Political freedoms were virtually non-existent. While a small elite in the cities prospered, millions in rural areas felt left behind. The land reforms intended to help peasants often failed and drove many to seek work in overcrowded urban slums. This growing economic inequality created a huge gap between the rich and the poor. Furthermore, many devout Iranians viewed the Shah's secular policies and close ties to the West as a betrayal of their cultural and religious identity. They saw the influx of Western culture as corrupting and felt their traditions were under attack. This growing resentment found a powerful voice in a man who had been exiled for his outspoken criticism of the Shah, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. From his exile, first in Turkey, then Iraq, and finally in France, Khomeini became the figurehead of the opposition. His message was simple but powerful. He condemned the Shah's regime as corrupt, oppressive, and subservient to foreign powers, particularly the United States, which he famously called the Great Satan. He advocated for a return to traditional Islamic values and the establishment of an Islamic government, a concept he called Velayat-e-Faqih, or the guardianship of the jurist. This idea proposed that the country should be led by a supreme religious scholar. Khomeini's message resonated deeply with a wide range of Iranians. It wasn't just the religious conservatives who were listening. Disaffected students, intellectuals who were denied political freedom, merchants from the traditional bazaars who were being squeezed out by large corporations, and the urban poor all saw him as a symbol of hope and resistance. His sermons and political writings were smuggled into Iran on cassette tapes, spreading his revolutionary ideas far and wide. These tapes became the key tool of the revolution, bypassing state censorship and reaching every corner of the country. By the late 1970s, the situation was a powder keg waiting for a spark. In January 1978, a government-sponsored newspaper published an article insulting Ayatollah Khomeini. This act triggered massive protests in the holy city of Qom. The government's response was harsh, and security forces opened fire on the demonstrators. This violence, however, didn't crush the movement. It fueled it. According to Shia tradition, mourning ceremonies are held 40 days after a person's death. The opposition used this tradition to their advantage. 40 days after the Qom massacre, memorial protests were held in other cities. These protests were also met with violence, leading to more deaths, which in turn led to more 40-day memorial protests. This cycle of protest and repression created a relentless wave of opposition that the Shi's government couldn't contain. The demonstrations grew larger and more defiant with each cycle. By the fall of 1978, the country was in turmoil. Massive labor strikes, particularly in the vital oil industry, paralyzed the economy. The Shah's authority was crumbling. He tried to offer concessions, releasing political prisoners and promising free elections, but it was too little, too late. The people on the streets were no longer demanding reform. They were demanding the end of the monarchy. Chants of "Death to the Shah" and "God is great" filled the air. Seeing that his rule was over and his military was beginning to waver, the Shah fled Iran in January 1979, never to return. His departure created a power vacuum, and the nation held its breath. Just 2 weeks later, on February 1st, 1979, Ayatollah Khomeini made his triumphant return from exile. Millions of people flooded the streets of Tehran to welcome him home. It was a moment of incredible euphoria and hope for many. In the chaotic days that followed, the remnants of the Shah's regime collapsed. The military declared its neutrality, and revolutionary forces took control of government buildings, television stations, and military barracks. A provisional government was established, but the real power lay with Khomeini and his network of revolutionary councils. In April 1979, a national referendum was held, and an overwhelming majority voted to abolish the monarchy and establish an Islamic Republic. The dream of a modern, westernized Iran was over, replaced by a new vision. A new constitution was drafted, enshrining Khomeini's principle of Vilayat-e-Faqih and naming him the country's first supreme leader, a position he would hold for life. The Iranian Revolution was a complex event born from a mix of economic hardship, political repression, and a powerful desire to reclaim national and religious identity. It fundamentally reshaped Iran and sent shockwaves across the Middle East and the world, changing the geopolitical landscape in ways that are still felt today. The story of its rise is a powerful reminder of how a combination of social discontent and charismatic leadership can topple even the most entrenched regimes. Thanks for watching. If you found this look into history interesting, please give this video a like and subscribe for more deep dives into the events that shaped our world. See you next time.